and welcome to this week's edition of Sunday Night Live, the automotive show where we bring you all things automotive, whether it's front end, back end, middle end, whatever it is, we bring it to you. And we've got such a nice community on LinkedIn that, that's something that we all benefit from. I know probably about 90% of all our business comes off of LinkedIn, a lot of that being inbound leads. So I know it works really well. You do have to work it, but you can figure it out on your own, or you can kind of tweak the learning curve. And I had the pleasure of having both Alyssa and David here in December, but we had so much stuff that we covered, we actually ran out of time. And although people wanted to go 2 hours, we just couldn't go 2 hours. So we do another show. So for those that are coming back, thank you. For those that weren't here, David Alto, Alyssa Bennett, these are two LinkedIn experts.
Woo-hoo.
So why don't you introduce yourself for those that may not know you? There's probably one or two people. Tell a little bit about you, what you do, how you do it, and then we'll jump right into it.
Should I let the birthday boy go first? Happy birthday, David, and the newly published author.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go first just this one time. My name is David Alto, and yes, today is my 32nd birthday. Maybe I'm off a couple decades. 52nd birthday. But anyway, what do I do on LinkedIn? That's easy. Resume, interview, career coaching, interview coaching. And I've really only have been active for about 2 years on LinkedIn and really grown, my network. And today, hopefully, we'll share some best practices, with you. Besides lead generation, is again how you can utilize the platform to really, really discuss your personal branding and treat LinkedIn a little bit maybe differently than you currently are. So that's a little bit about me, Paul.
Awesome. Alyssa?
Lisa B. Bennett, LinkedIn Leads You Love. I've been doing online marketing since 2009 when I helped Angus, Paul Mitchell's son, launch his Beverly Hills Salon brand. We dropped an ad, and about 12 hours later, we were fully booked out of 416 appointments. So that's when I got the taste for the possibility. I mean, you've got the numbers are there, regardless of what's going on in the world. You can find people, and you can definitely find them on LinkedIn. My background is sales and marketing. In college and right out of college, I worked with IBM, where clients expected you to show up and tell them how to spend their money. And those were the best leads ever when a client expects you to show up. And the worst has been cold calling. So getting people to tell you to stick a corn cob up your something, worst leads ever. LinkedIn leads are about this close to the IBM leads. The conversations are phenomenal. So I've pivoted my agency that used to be full service to focusing, we're all in on LinkedIn, to help people get their ad spend free organic source of leads so that they can scale their business and grow, which we're doing now. We just hired a new salesperson a couple weeks ago. So loving the LinkedIn.
I think they call them the Glengarry leads.
What?
For us old folk. Right, David?
Always be LinkedIning, right? There you go.
So let me just jump to a couple of comments here. Let's see. We have Russ says, good evening all. Mark Williamson, hello everyone. Abel Aguirre, howdy Paul Meyer, 5 p.m. in Washington State and at work. Michael Landis, hello everyone. Congratulations on the book, David Alto. Justin, my man from the think tank, says, my dude, the author, David. So glad to see you all. And Chris Power Gomez, gentlemen. You know what's funny is we've been connected since today, although we've been in the same circle for, I don't even know how long it's been that long. So I'm not sure what happened. Every once in a while, something falls through the cracks. So welcome, Chris. Jeff Daniel, I didn't see Bernie at the book signing this morning.
Bernie Sanders is literally everywhere, but no, he didn't make Darn it.
Everywhere.
Maybe my next one.
Crazy. Micah Larkin says, happy birthday, David, from West Hartford here. And yes, I have your book on my screen. Can't wait. Justin says, happy birthday and hello to my friends, Micah Larkin, Paul Meyer, Kenneth Dunner. Justin says, congrats on the books. Joe Perez, hello all from Sonoma County, Wine Country, California.
Nice.
All right. So how do we get more business on LinkedIn other than just generically posting stuff?
Well, if you're looking for leads, what you want to do is make it crystal clear how you help people. A lot of people feel like if they have their logo present or their business name present, that everybody knows what that means. And the best way that I've found to communicate how you help people in a way that gets through the noise in the 3 to 5 seconds that we have someone's attention is to look through your testimonials, your recommendation section on LinkedIn, and look and see what your clients have said about you. On my page right now, I believe I have my statement from one of my clients, Steve, who said that I saved him $5,000 to $10,000 a month on ad spend. So he has no ad spend. We're doing all organic to generate the same level of leads that he's getting with the LinkedIn machine that we created for him. I just took what he wrote to me in an email and put it under my profile picture, the headline there, and then it's speaking clearly to how you help people. Do not think anybody's going to go and click on your contact section, look at your website, go to this page and that page to figure it all out. You got to make it crystal clear in a second, even less than a second. It needs to have the words pop out that are those most important words for clients.
Keywords.
What I do is I'll take those testimonials, those recommendations, I'll mine it for the coolest statements that people said, and then I'll take those keywords and put it into word clouds with an s.com, and you'll have a list of words in order of importance, the heavy, hot words to your clients, and then make those bold because they may not even read that entire sentence. So try not to write a book if you can help it, as short and simple as possible in their own words. And sometimes even in the banner section, I'll form it in the form of a question, because what a question does is it makes somebody answer it in their brain. So you're getting a fraction of a second longer. And if you think about how LinkedIn is set up, the banner, I may be not doing this the right way, but where my head is right now is on the left-hand side of the screen on LinkedIn. That's the way that it is too. So making sure that your head is pointing in towards the copy, the way that your picture is pointing, or if you're making graphics, if you have a model, their eyes, the gaze is where the attention's going to go. So if you're on LinkedIn and all the copy is here, you want to point your face there if it is going directional. If you do it like this, you're taking somebody off of your page. So pointing in towards the middle, form of a question, find what they said about you that's the juiciest bit, and then you're good to go. That is a 5-step class in, did I 5 minutes or less? So, yeah, that's the most valuable piece of information that I can share.
Now that's something that most people don't even think about. And then to follow up with that, regarding recommendations, is there a certain number of recommendations that's recommended, or is that all dependent upon how many connections you have? How does that work?
Well, my motto is a human, and a recommendation just in everything that I do is honesty. And what I'll see is people that I'll maybe get on a show like this, let's say. I've had this one gentleman do this. That's nobody in this room. But he said, we didn't work together. We did nothing. And he said, can you give me a recommendation? I'll give you one. And I said, I'm happy to give you a recommendation based on what I know about you is that you're a good marketer, based on our interaction. But please know, and I do not want your recommendation. I said it in a nicer way, because what's happening is I've got these really valuable, juicy recommendations. I've got one, Julie, she 275 times her ROI investment with me. She 6 times her clients, 7 times her income. She raised her prices. And so she went, huge story, right? That very sexy story. Now, if I'm taking every Joe Blow fake recommendation, I've got some people who worked with me, but I don't want to chop that relationship off and say, no, you can't write something. But basically, when somebody's leaving you a testimonial, they're pitching from your page. They are taking square footage on your page. A clickable link takes them off of your page potentially. I've got clients who have generated business from leaving a recommendation. Getting them, when you just want to make sure that if somebody emails you something nice, or like I'll do coaching calls. I have weekly coaching calls that are recorded. When somebody says, oh my gosh, Elisa, blah, 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 I'll clip that recording out and save it. The most important thing is when you get that information, write it back to them. In LinkedIn, if you're connected, it makes it so easy for them. Be of service to your customer when you're asking them for a recommendation. If they said something, go, hold on a second. Do you mind if I just write that down really quick and send it to you on LinkedIn? Then all they have to do, you can ask for a recommendation from their LinkedIn page, is click a button. And now the words that they already said, you're not making them work for it again. Sure. Yeah, I'll give you a recommendation. Everybody's too busy, right? They already said it.
Right.
Write it down, send it back to them. And now the social proof is linked on your page. So I wouldn't worry about quantity, because that gentleman that I was talking about had 400 recommendations. What's the point of that? If you've got some really sexy, hot recommendation that's 359, it's buried now.
Right. That's right. It's kind of like reviews, regular online reviews. Everybody thinks that they need, you do need a lot of them, but after a while, they do lose their effectiveness.
Well, if they're real, and then once you start to get more, then you can start to sort through them and maybe have them be topical. If people are asking, like for instance, that way that you can look and see what somebody said about you, and use it on your LinkedIn page, we do that where we're weighting the topic of what they're saying. Oh my gosh, Elisa's personality, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I thought people cared about the leads, but no, they're all talking about how it feels, she's so easy to get, whatever, all this personality stuff. So for me, I got to make sure that I go through my personality recommendations and for sure feature that one over some obscure thing that hardly anybody ever talks about once they start to get weighted, right?
I was laughing because I see Jeff Daniels, but is there a LinkedIn for Dummies book asking for a friend?
A friend.
I do have a free 5-step thing, and honestly, it is the dummy is at the beginning of this video. So if you go to the beginning of this video, the most dummies thing is to look at what your clients are saying and just put it up there on the top of your LinkedIn page. If you do nothing else, that's going to make everything you're already doing work better. Because if you are reaching out and you're connecting to people, and your LinkedIn page is super sticky at the top to your ideal client, number one, the people that aren't your ideal client are going to leave you alone. Thank goodness. Thank you. And number two, when you're connecting to somebody, now all of, like, let's say when Paul and I first connected on LinkedIn, we became first-degree connections. Our connections were each other's second-degree connections. We hadn't connected yet. And those connections were our collective third-degree connections. That's where the brick wall is. So now Paul and I connect. Now we're first degree. All of our collective second-degree connections are getting soft pitched if our LinkedIn page is set up right. If it's set up with no picture, nothing to connect with, no smile. If it's set up with just your logo, great. Okay, next, swipe right or left, whichever way you do. I don't know what the yes and no swiping is.
And then we go from first connections to second connections, and those second connections then get connected to become first connections, like how you and David are now first connections.
Right. Yes. Yep. And so what will happen is for my clients, they're reaching out and they're connecting. That's part of the system that we create. But now when people are seeing them, because of how we've helped them to create their LinkedIn page, I've got a client, he went from $3,000 monthly deals to $550K 5-year contract. A whale found him, approached him. And so then you start getting these incredible attraction opportunities as well. So 550K 5 years, and he got 20% of a 20 million annual revenue business. So that's the obscene of what can happen when you've got that messaging dialed in right, and the right person sees you, and then they're much more likely to take action.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
I don't think I need to go. I'm done. We're done. No.
Well, there's so much stuff that, we tend to take for granted, right? People create a profile, they put stuff up. Most people don't share a lot of content, but a lot of people just they have it out there, and you ask them, oh, are you on LinkedIn? If there's any hesitation, the answer is no, right? Being on LinkedIn is more than just having a profile that you don't remember the password to. Right?
I don't remember my password.
I live on LinkedIn. Well, it's automatic. It's stored in memory. But the point is, you can always get in. I'm in LinkedIn all day long, every day, several times a day, sometimes in the middle of the night. I'll be honest. If I wake up at 2 a.m, I see a notification, I might just take a gander. I'll be on there for 15, 20 minutes, put my head on the pillow and come back from 3, and by 2 I'm out again. And I'm just lucky that way. We got a couple of comments here. Lowell Wilson, I'm here again. Same here. And he says, happy birthday to David. And belated happy birthday too, because your birthday was a month ago.
12/21.
12/21. And Atul says, hey, David and Paul. Jeff Daniel, oh, yeah, we did that one already. Tully Williams is in the house. And Mike Larkin says it takes 6 to 10 5-star reviews in order to be trusted. That's on Google. Steve says, welcome. Well, many reviews is also how bad reviews get overwhelmed. That's true. You push them down by generating new ones. And Max Del Vento says, hello. Yeah, boy, that's some great information.
Good news with recommendations on LinkedIn is you approve them. So there should be no bad reviews on your LinkedIn page.
And no surprise.
Unless you're, I don't know, you don't like yourself or something. Yeah.
But I didn't even think about they have the conversation and then kind of pre-write it and then send it to the person. Yeah, that's
I'm always thinking about how to make my clients' life easier. Yeah. Because people say, well, I asked him for a recommendation. Okay. Does he like your stuff? Did he say anything ever? So it's not about, I don't actually ask for them. I get them, and then I make sure to capture them. So I've got a depository where I'm just I'll screenshot any posts, and then that goes in your rotation, because with the 5 on Google that makes you a trusted person, each recommendation that you get from somebody, that's an 80% improvement in your conversions when they read that. And it's when it's somebody similar to them, even more so. So they are money. So you want to collect them and capture them in more than one place, because it literally is money. You don't want to have it on if you're on some social site and you're somewhere and you have a profile, that's not yours, it's rented. So make sure you capture it from there as well. Because sites get hacked and people get rejected. All of a sudden they could decide they don't like the Pauls of the world anymore. All Pauls got to go. So if you've got those, recommend what you looking around? Somebody, it looks like the church. What is that? It's Alien. Isn't Alien back there in there somewhere?
No, that's the scene from my website.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. I just feel like that alien thing is going to be crawling up the side of there. Take your page off LinkedIn.
Hopefully not. No, it's just part of my branding. So people see that, they know it's me. And we have Mike. As a matter of fact, Mike, the coach Vogel, says, Paul, dealer vendor match, good evening. So yeah, so that's what that's all about. Everything I have, everything I do has a piece of that in it, or the guy in the upper right-hand corner of the screen there.
Got it.
So wow, that's really great stuff. You know, you and I have been connected for a while, and I've seen a lot of the good stuff that you've done, and I've seen a lot of the recommendations that have come out there. But it occurs to me that I need to have you look at my stuff, and you and I need to have a deeper conversation. So I'd like to initiate that now, but not that you're going to do it now, but I would like to say, I'd like you to take a look at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then let's you and I will set up a call and we'll talk about it, because I would, you know, look, this year, January has been the best year. You know, it's a record month. Okay.
Congratulations.
For years.
Yeah.
And
good.
We have that for our business, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean you just have to, okay, it's been great. You have to constantly work it. And from what I've been seeing over time, and then when I saw that guy's thing today, I'm like, or not today, the other day, I saw like, holy crap, I need to have more in-depth conversations with Elisa. So yeah, so if you could start whatever it is that you do, and then I'll reach out to you tomorrow and we'll set up a call.
Sounds good.
So David.
Yes.
52 years on this planet. Got to make you a little bit wiser than 51 years on this planet.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because it was December of 2019, a little over a year ago, that I left my day job and started doing this, you know, full time. So yes, no, life is good, because life's good on LinkedIn. I mean, look at all the birthday wishes that I got before. I'd like to thank Mike, Chris, Kenny, Jeff, all of you for wishing me birthday wishes before coming on the jumping on the call today. I kind of want to piggyback on some of the things that Alyssa had talked about before, and you know, those recommendations mean a lot, regardless of what you do on LinkedIn. Regardless, and people are on LinkedIn for lots of different reasons. I know for me, because I help so many clients per week, that those recommendations mean a lot. I mean, people hire me sometimes and go, I don't want to talk to anybody else, David, because we noticed that you have all these different recommendations based on different industry. And for me, having more, I have 220, and those are from real clients, or maybe I have people I worked with in the past, but because I help so many per week, but that gives people confidence, because they can look at different industries and then feel confident that I can do a good job for them. And you know what, a lot of people are not taking advantage of this, is that 10-second elevator pitch that you can now do on LinkedIn. You know, you have to record it on your smartphone, but you can play it on any device. And why not have somebody be able to hear what you're amazing at? And yeah, that headline has got to, I don't care if you're a job seeker or whatever you do on LinkedIn, that headline, if you work at Boeing, don't need to know you work at Boeing in your headline. We can find out by scrolling down below. Know those amazing things that is valuable real estate in that headline. And you have to
tell us about the pitch. Go.
Oh, yeah. So LinkedIn created this function that you can record a 10-second audio you have to record it on your smartphone, but again, you can play it on any device. Why not have somebody hear you talk about those passionate things, that little mini elevator pitch? Now, LinkedIn created again, to maybe your first name or last name is kind of hard to pronounce, but you have 10 seconds. Tell us what you're amazing at doing and what you enjoy, so we can hear that excitement. And then guess what? If I hear your voice and then I look at your about section, or I look at your headline, look at about, I can almost hear you speaking those words. So that 10-second little pitch is amazing. You have to take advantage of it. And most people just don't know about it. LinkedIn did a poor job of explaining it. Paul.
I didn't know about it until just now. I'm not going to lie.
That means I need to post about it yet again, and I'll do that tomorrow to remind everybody. Because again, hardly anybody does it, and regardless of what you do, it is the perfect opportunity to set you apart because hardly anybody is doing it. And now they get to hear you. And now when they read your about section, and Alyssa, I love it. I mean, I've always started off about sections with the question, like mine says, question, are you that job seeker applying for job after job and only getting those rejection emails? It's not about 1 million people going to my LinkedIn profile. It's when the right people get on it.
Bingo. Bingo.
It serves a job seeker that is struggling they're getting those rejection emails. So, but again, if you're a job seeker, it's easy, or whatever you are on LinkedIn. What do you solve, and for whom, or what department, or whatever? Again, it depends on what you do, obviously.
Yeah.
Because then everything else that you write is like gospel. Like it has to be true because you go and define, again, what you can solve, and then the rest of it just makes sense. And people just don't use the about section, properly, I think. And so again, go spy on other people's LinkedIn profiles. Look at their about section. Read articles. There's so many free articles out there. I've written tons of articles regarding LinkedIn and just some quick best practices. But if you're going to be active on LinkedIn, you got to take advantage of the free tools that are right there. If you're not paying for LinkedIn Premium, that's fine. This is still a free personal branding website that you got to take advantage of regardless of why you're on it.
The voice recording thing is cool because how often is it that you're connected with somebody and you have a phone call with them and like, oh, it's nice to put a face to the voice, right? Or a voice to the face, whatever.
It just makes you more cool. Yeah, it just makes you more human. I mean, not all of us post videos on LinkedIn, right? But it makes you more human regardless of what you use it for. And obviously you can change it whenever you want. You can re-record it or whatever, but it's the perfect way to make that little introduction. And of course, when you get a new connection, are you sending maybe a voice message?
I got one the other day.
Those are, I personally like them. Some people say, maybe they don't care to hear it or whatever. I love it because now I usually get to hear the passion behind that person, why they may be connected with me. And let's face it, I've gotten messages in my DM where maybe they say I'm curious about this. I don't know if they're being sarcastic or not because I don't know them yet, right?
Right.
I don't.
Right.
But if I heard them saying it, I'd be able to capture, kind of, because I had a back and forth with somebody yesterday because of what they said until I realized that they didn't really kind of mean it that way. It's just like texting or whatever. Record that 59-second little, message to somebody that you really, maybe that you enjoyed that post or whatever. And that's why you wanted to, connect with them or whatever. But there's so many tools that we are afforded on this free branding website that people just do not take advantage of.
Well, the voice thing's kind of cool because, look, in a sea of sameness, right, where everybody's, vying for the same audience and a lot of people are just doing the same stuff, just waiting for things to change. That's something a little different. I get very few recorded messages, but guess what? I listen to every one that I get because they are different, right? So yeah, that's a great differentiator right there. And it's only a minute, so it's not like you're reading War and Peace to them.
Hopefully. Yeah, when I get 3 of those in a row, I'm like, here we go.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, creeper. But no, it's really cool because, but just like an elevator pitch, it has to be concise.
Yeah.
Right. It's got to be direct, to the point, give them a reason to want to listen to you. Because a lot of, as business people, we tend to know our businesses very well. Where a lot of business people fail is in being able to communicate that effectively, right? My wife says you have to think in paragraphs, but speak in bullets. You have to be able to cover all the material that's relevant to that person that you're reaching out to within a very short period of time in a very nice flowing structured pattern to make sure that you're covering what's important to that person. And what I see a lot of times is that people can't effectively communicate what they do. They don't. You ask for a 30-second elevator pitch and you get a 5-minute commercial. Nobody's going to watch it. Literally nobody.
Yeah, and you might be more confused after the 5 minutes is up, what they even.
Yeah. Sometimes you spend 5 minutes reflecting on the previous 5 minutes because you realize that's 5 minutes of your life that you will never get back. Wow. We got Terry on the line, says, sorry, I'm late. Happy birthday, David. And Lou Ramirez, the car guy, coffee guy, says, happy today, everybody. Keep brewing solutions. And Jeff Daniel says, since a lot of us are now Zoom mates, putting a voice to the face is a big plus. Absolutely. Yeah. And Michael Larkin says, a confused mind never buys. That is very true.
Yes.
It's very true.
Very true. So what other tips do you have, David?
Well,
talk about your robot, David. The robot cluster. Yeah, we never got to talk about that before. That's fascinating to me.
All right. Okay. All right. So
looking for Tarracana.
And then position it as that you're helping people with their resumes. And there's these robots out there killing resumes.
No, sure. So no,
I didn't know any of that.
All right. So, all right. So here's what happened in the late 80s. Companies were realizing that they receive too many resumes and they can't have one person in HR go through 100, 200, 300, 400 resumes for one position.
Right.
So what companies do is they set up a criteria for a particular job that they want certain keywords, language, in that, so that when they scan it versus that job description, and most HR people know they have it, but they don't know how it works. Or they don't think their company has it when they do. So here's what happens. I go apply for a job as a project manager at Amazon. It scans it versus that. It's either a pass fail. Now, HR people or a hiring manager still might have the ability to see that resume, but most of the time they won't because the other ones kind of go off to the side and get rejected. So when I realized years ago when I was applying for some jobs, I started researching and did a lot of research into this. So what I do for my clients, and this is why my clients end up getting more interviews, which hopefully we always hope that leads to getting jobs. What I use software after I've created the resume for them. I scan their resume versus that job description. I look for missing keywords that should be in there, place them in there, either maybe in a competency section or exchange a word or two. Now, we're not putting every single word in there every time because it'll just be too wordy and it won't read well. But by doing that, you increase your likelihood of your resume actually being seen. And then, of course, if you have a great resume, maybe they decide to, reach out to you. So again, the recruiters do that on LinkedIn. Recruiters have a certain program that they use on LinkedIn that their company pays a ton of money for, lots of zeros, that allows them to really go in detail, more detail than Sales Navigator or anything else, and search for people based on industry, job title, and maybe some skills. So they kind of use that same scanning software. So having some certain keywords in your LinkedIn profile benefits you, even a job seeker, even not job seeker, for somebody searching for you. So really, that's how that scanning software works. Now, there are free programs out there that people can use if you're a job seeker, but it still takes a little while to learn the nuances of doing it. I just provide that service to my clients because I think it's got to be better than just having an amazing resume that you still don't get any calls, So it can sometimes be as simple as that, because again, nobody's going to have somebody in HR go through that many resumes. So I've crafted a way to help solve that. But I teach my clients kind of how to do it themselves too.
So what's interesting is that, so are you saying that recruiters on LinkedIn are using that to scout for talent? Because
Yes.
you go through waves of getting bombarded, literally bombarded by recruiters.
Yes.
Voicemails, emails, in messages. So that's how that comes apart. Comes together. They look for certain people or certain criteria for their business, and then they kind of go out to LinkedIn land and they cast the nets, and that software will then bring them a pool of likely people that would fit that description.
Yes, and that's why the headline matters. Having a generic job description in the work experience. So if your company calls you something else that industry-wide, it's called something else, it's called a more generic term, then I tell my clients, go ahead and keep that long title, but put a backslash and then put the more generic title, because recruiters aren't going on LinkedIn and going, I'm searching for this long drawn out job description. They're searching for project managers, product managers, or whatever. Again, not some really fancy term or whatever. So again, it can be as easy as that. I've taken clients that have had great LinkedIn profiles, but tweak them a little bit, and guess what? Now they get more the right recruiter calls.
Recruiters.
Because if you don't, a lot of people get recruiter calls, and it's for a position that they did years ago that they wouldn't accept now. So again, there's some nuances to all of that, and that's, if you're going to be on LinkedIn, you got to do it right, regardless if you're generating leads, generating interest in your LinkedIn profile because you're selling a service or potentially, wanting a job. You gotta use it right.
There's so many nuances to it,
To sort of give the opposite of what David's talking about in how I approach LinkedIn, because David's talking about the experience section and where you would put your title. What we do for clients is we're not talking about titles and accomplishments and what we've done, because our clients are not looking for a job. They're looking to communicate how they help people. So this, you might like this, Paul. In the experience section in the title field, we put case studies in there. So I'm not talking about I did this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. I'm not talking about myself at all. I'm talking about my clients' accomplishments. And then in that title field, for instance, one of my headlines is Career Growth Coach achieves 275 times ROI in just 1 year after using Leads You Love, right? So instead of saying founder or whatever, and then all those recruiters are finding you, now, and it's kind of funny when somebody uses a robot, because they'll say, I'm so impressed with your experience at Career Growth Coach achieves.
Yeah. We've all gotten those.
But it's really interesting, David, how you have the robot buster, and it's exactly that same logic that I do, where we're data mining. You're data mining the job posting, and I'm data mining what clients have said. So it's the exact same logic done in reverse order.
Now,
find a job, find some leads.
Now, there are some jobs that my clients have that I tell them just exactly what you said, because it's a different type of job or a different type of role. And then I tell them, yes, you need to treat this as like, yes, I've done this for this client and this client. So it depends, on your industry and what you actually do on how you should go about it, because there could be a mixture of both, again, depending. But again, there's if you're, again, job seeker, that maybe if you've been, you get individually hired and contracted, then let's talk about the results from, like you said, return on investment and different things like that, different stories and different recommendations. So again, it really just depends on what you're trying to accomplish at any given point, and that it could change depending on where you are in your career.
That's how I knew you two would be the perfect matchup, because there is no one right answer to anything, but there are different pieces of the same puzzle that we can put together. Because look, let's face it, I'm looking for clients, and I'm looking to get my clients in front of their clients. Right? So that's one area. I may also be looking to do contract work for another company. That's another area, right? So I'm open to all those areas. I worked for a guy named Leon, that this guy was a very successful general manager of our store, but yet at the same time he was doing that, he had many other businesses that he ran, and he ran them very well in all different areas. So I'm open to the business in general. I have my focus, but there are also other areas that I'm involved with. So both of what you guys bring to the table is extremely valuable. So I love that. And thank you for remembering the robot piece, because that's the big piece that we forgot last time. We're like, there's just not enough time. So
Paul,
speaking of time, I don't want to. What's that?
I'll be real quick. I do get HR people that comment on my posts sometimes when I talk about the software, and they're like, "You're lying, David. Why do you tell these people you're just telling them to get work?" And then other resume people come on board and say, "No, kind of what he's saying is right." I wouldn't say it, but I want my clients to get jobs, and it does exist. But a lot of HR people, they don't know what they have. They're not the engineer that developed the program. They're not, behind how it pulls information. So it is a thing. And especially for those people that have amazing resumes that are getting no response. Sometimes it's not me creating a new resume. It's just teaching them about the bots, teaching them how to read a job description a little bit differently. But Paul, I think you were right. Again, regardless if you're a job seeker or generating leads, you have to be able to define your branding so that when people come to your LinkedIn profile, they know what you do, what you're, about, what you've done. Regardless, job seeker leads, again, it all starts with that first few seconds. Like you were mentioning, that matters, because they're just going to go on to somebody else.
There are a lot of parallels in what we all do, okay? Because what you do is similar to what I do in ways. You have great people that have great credentials that just aren't seen. Now, if you have to game, whatever you want to call it, if you want to give them the advantage to get in front of the right person, when they do, they can't bullshit their way into that job. They can't. You can't fake experience. You can't. So if you get the opportunity to get in front of somebody and they like what they hear, because you really are the person for that job, why then you've done them a good service to get them in front of that person. And you've helped not only them, but you've helped the company that they get in front of. But the problem is, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of really qualified people that never get interviews. Never. because they never get seen. So what you do is a very valuable service to get seen. Now, where the parallel lies in my business is that there are hundreds upon hundreds of quality vendors. I mean, really quality ones. But Steve Apicella says there's a lot of noise out there, right? There is a lot of noise. So there are hundreds of quality vendors that cannot get in front of the right client, the client that they can help. Because there's so much noise, they get drowned out, they get dismissed. So just like you get people in front of the right recruiters to give them the opportunity, we do the exact same things in the vendor/dealer space. You know, so there's so many parallels that it's not even funny. But you have to be open-minded to be able to look at the different situations that come up and see where the parallels are and where the differences are and how you can kind of weave them together. We got Carmine Crispino, my friend who is local here. He's watching us on Facebook, says, always great content. Thank you, Carmine. I appreciate your support, man. You're always on the show. And Steve Apicella said, there is a lot of white noise on LinkedIn or any other social media platform. What makes you different makes you strong. Is the concise communication mission to inspire networking/opportunity. Everything else contributes to the white noise. Yeah, people have to get focused on the message that they're trying to deliver, because we all get bombarded with so much information today. I don't even know. There's the stats change all the time, but there's some crazy number that keeps coming out as to how many pieces of content we get bombarded with on a daily basis, that we can only process so much information at one time. So that's why we live in micro moments. We can't process it all at the same time. We might have 8 seconds at this time, 15 seconds at that time. That's why when you see somebody in the line at the supermarket, they may pull up their phone for a few seconds to check something and then put it back down, because that's the 8 seconds they had. They might not have any more time for another hour.
Exactly. And your moment's gone.
Gone. And if you don't put it to right use, if you don't get that information across within that period of time, it can be gone and lost forever. So
it used to be something like 5 impressions was a sale, and now it's 33 impressions, or who knows what it's at now, which is why I tell people to think of their profile picture on LinkedIn as their logo that you don't want to change, right? So, okay, so you went on vacation and you got what you think is a prettier picture, or a time when you felt better about yourself or whatever. Nobody cares that's not your mom and your friends. That picture, you want to have the impression of every time somebody sees my picture on LinkedIn, I don't want them going over to Instagram and it's some different LinkedIn lady. I want my impressions to rack up, not dilute them. And then have somebody maybe connect to you on LinkedIn, but maybe they're not ready to purchase today. And you're creating content, you're getting back in front of them. All of a sudden they're ready to buy, and there's some new person. Because again, if it's not your mom or your friends, they need to see that exact same image. And if you think of rebranding yourself, or even moving your brick and mortar business across the street, sometimes you can lose 50% of your business doing that. So that profile picture being the most important thing that follows you all over LinkedIn. And if you are selling on multiple sites, have that be streamlined and keep it as long as you can until you become unrecognizable. So that means that, you just keep getting Botox for the next 50 years and then you can keep that picture. Unless, you change into, if I got some Marilyn Monroe short blonde and then I had my glasses, I would become unrecognizable. And in that case, then maybe you'd have to be forced to get a new image.
Are you saying I shouldn't grow my hair out?
You do you have a good look.
Well, what's interesting is that we don't always think about that. Now, I do that, right? So I have a specific picture that on all of my selling sites, if you will, it's the same picture. I just figured it should be the same picture, but I didn't think about the different impressions being the benefit of that. I didn't think that. I just thought it should be, this is what I have on LinkedIn, so I should have it on this particular business site. I should have it on that business site. That makes a lot of sense. So as the need for impressions goes up, and people today, they're not just looking at you in one place, they're finding you all over the place. People, before they do business with you, they're looking you up in a lot of different areas. So if you're easier to spot by having that consistent branding, if you will,
right,
then in the long run, that's going to help you, of course, with a good message, to convert more clients.
It's like the golden arches. You're not going to change it to the pink arches or the green, I don't know, triple hump, whatever, right? Because it's a different business. When you see those golden arches, And so when you see that picture of Paul, David, Elisa, it's that same, they are not remembering your name yet, but that face is like
right.
the logo.
Yeah. It's so funny. We went to get our emissions done yesterday, and I pull into the place, and the guy says, I know you. Really? Where do I know you from? I said, probably online videos. That's right. Yeah, that's where I've seen you. I've seen you on videos. Yeah, you do all those restaurant videos. But you're right. The more impressions, people know you before they even know you.
Right. Right.
And where everybody's vying for the same audience to get business, that's a key thing to know.
Yeah, don't dilute your impressions.
Oh, speaking of, go ahead and finish.
That's it. Thanks, David.
Okay. I was going to say, I know we don't have a lot of time. Business pages. Now, I was on a show, last week we talked about business pages for a little bit, but people want, I don't care if you're the CEO, people buy from people. And, people want to see you occasionally. If you haven't done video or whatever, maybe you think about doing it or whatever, but that's when I started getting traction on LinkedIn, is when I was sharing me, because I'm pretty genuine in my videos. And I think people can see that I'm not some fake and I'll say it just as a joke, but I don't act like a used car salesman. You know what I mean, right? I'm sorry.
Nothing wrong with used car salesman.
No, there's nothing wrong with them.
Speak to the audience. There's nothing wrong with a classy used car salesman.
Right. The typical one. Look, if you're genuine on LinkedIn, it's not about 1 million people liking you. It's when the right people like you and see you, they build over time. And you know what? To be honest, sometimes it's not about that person seeing me. It's that person I built a relationship with for 2 years here on LinkedIn that says, hey, do you know anybody that's, somebody asked them, do you know anybody that does this or that? They're like, you have to use my friend David. Have you used him before? No, but I see him all the time. He's obviously an expert at what he does. So again, if you haven't done video, consider it. I know it might be awkward or whatever. I don't edit my videos other than this past silly one I did, but I silly edit it. But again, share something that you're a subject matter expert at, and people will build confidence in you over time. And I did say over time. You're not going to become some internet star unless you're riding a skateboard, drinking ocean spray, cran raspberry, and get, but again, it all takes time. It all takes time, and you just got to be patient with it. But regardless of what you do on LinkedIn, you got to have that amazing LinkedIn profile and then know what to do with it after you have it.
It takes time, and you have to be dedicated to it. And there's a saying that Gary Vee has that stuck with me, right? It really resonated with me. And he says, everything always takes longer than you plan. You have the right plan, stick with it and keep going at it. Unless you're way off track, stick with it, because if you go at it with enough passion and the right stuff long enough, you will achieve it. Now, regarding I don't care if 1 million people see it. You just want the right person to see it. I can tell you from personal experience, I met my wife on a dating site 10 years ago. Awesome person. Okay. And when I wrote my profile, a good friend of mine, who's an ex-girlfriend, she says, nobody's going to read all that. I said, you know what? I don't care. Because the person that reads it, that's the person that I'm looking for. And here I am, 10 years later, happily married in Niantic, Connecticut, living the life.
There you go. Yeah, having that message clearly speak to your ideal client. In marketing, there's a sort of extreme of that, which is if you haven't made somebody angry by noon, your message is not dialed in well enough. So don't be afraid of haters, and that can actually get you so much visibility. But to pull back to David's great point about business pages, think about when it's going to be, post COVID, and we can go to networking functions again. Are you going to show up with a picture of your logo on your head, or are you showing up as a human being? People like to do business with people. So make sure that you're very clear that a business page has a logo on it. For a LinkedIn business page, you should have a personal page, and it should have your photo on the personal page, the business page, a logo. And then the function of that business page is not for you to generate leads unless you've gotten enough leads on your personal page organically that you're ready to start spending on ads. The function of a business page on any site is for that site to eventually start charging you. You're always going to get more traffic organically off of a personal page on any platform that you think of.
Now, speaking of lovely wife, she made a comment. She says, so is Google search more or less relevant today? And that's a question for both of you guys, as well as Micah Larkin, who is in the audience.
More or less. What I would say to Google, that's an important thing, is to look historically at what's happened to a platform. And Google, I think in 2008, changed their algorithm, and a bunch of businesses went out of business. A bunch of agencies got sued for it. Nobody saw it coming. So then you can look and see, and we all know that maybe cold calling worked better before, postcards worked better on, at a certain period. There's all sorts of sources of leads that have their day. And if you're not tweaking and adjusting your strategy, then you could be left like the COVID people that didn't have something else ready to go. Right. They didn't have their online act together yet. So the way that I help my clients is I say, think about the platform you're most interested in being on and go deep on it. Organically, when you're first starting out, you're not going to have ad spend. Grow that, get that strategy optimized where you can replicate it on multiple platforms, get enough budget, go to your next platform. Think of it like standing. If you just had one source of leads and that leg goes out from under you, you're on your bum, right? If you then can go and diversify to a second source of leads, you're much more stable. If one of those legs comes out, then, wrong finger, sorry. Right? You're still standing. So the idea is to go from one to two, and then tripod is the best. If you've got 3 to 5 sources of leads, you are solid.
So your point about great point, Paulette says, great point, logo on your head, love it. I've got to tell you a short story. When I sold cars, my shtick was buy from Paul. Everything was buy from Paul. I had little stickers. It's in the other drawer. But I had a label maker, and I had labels that said buy from Paul. I had stickers everywhere. So as I would have clients sitting at my desk, they would be sitting there, and they would be seeing all of the buy from Paul stickers everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Even I had an eye chart that had buy from Paul on it, and they would laugh. But what got them laughing the hardest was I had a stamp, a buy from Paul stamp, stamped on top of my head. And the only time you'd see that is when I was writing stuff down on the paper, and they would see on top of my head, buy from Paul, and they would start laughing hysterically. And at that point, I knew the deal was done. So to your point of
That's
logo on
awesome.
your head.
And then also is what's relevant or not. Everything is relevant if you can get it to work. If you've got a great SEO person, awesome. But if your website's horrible, you're driving a bunch of traffic to a page and that money's just vanishing, right? So you have to have the right strategy. You build a great website, you do some pay-per-click on it, test that it can convert, then you get your SEO. And if that works for you and you're able to follow up with those leads and close those deals, great. The question is, do you have the talent to help you get that system functioning and the ability to follow up with those leads properly to get the most out of them? It's not that something doesn't work. It's that you've got to get the system built to make that thing work.
Right. Process. You need a process.
And you need the right team, because of course you can pay for not, I mean, as we all know, we want to have the very best doctors from Harvard, right? Working on our bodies. So with that, everywhere that you can be doing some kind of a marketing thing, there's going to be that top percentage that's going to give you, that's actually going to care about your results. So.
Now, let me get here. Michael Larkin says, when we were kids, Tony Robbins would say it takes 7 touches for the prospect to respond to marketing. Today, he says it's 16 times, and I think that number's grown even beyond that. And Michael follows up with the Google question, says, Paulette, I mentioned it takes 6 to 10 5-star reviews on every third-party review site like Facebook, LinkedIn, and other. Google is the place where most people check first. True, it's the #1 search engine, followed by YouTube, which is owned by Google.
Right.
And we can argue the Amazon thing. By the way, Happy New Year. Russ Mann says stamps are the best. So, wow, we are on that hour. But before we sign off, I just want to let everybody know that next week the show goes on as scheduled, but I will have a guest host because I'm having double knee replacement surgery done on Tuesday. So I'm not quite sure how smiling I'm going to be by next Sunday. Naturally smiling, not medicated smiling. So I'm going to have a guest host. The show goes on, but I just want to let everybody know that. I don't think anything's going to go sideways, but it's life, right? So with that, I want to thank you guys very much. Don't jump off after we sign off because I want to talk to you for a couple more minutes. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you, David, for sharing and dropping your knowledge bombs and sharing with the audience. This is awesome. I always learn new things just by listening to the people that are out there doing the stuff on the forefront. You know, a lot of people are like this, I got that covered, and before you know it, they're covered by something else. So you always have to be willing to listen to what other people have to say because nobody knows everything. Nobody. And you can always pick up a nugget from somebody. Also coming up, February 9th, 10th, and 11th is the Headings Fixed Ops Roundtable. So if you haven't already gotten your ticket, you can get a complimentary ticket at fixedopsroundtable.com. 3 days of all stars talking all things automotive. Some killer speakers. When you go on the website, you'll see a list of the speakers and an event planner and everything. So I think it's the 10th or 11th. I'm losing track. Roundtable, incredible. You don't want to miss it. And unlike some of these other events that charge you hundreds of dollars, this is free, costs you nothing.
Free.
Yeah. Oh, let me get a couple of comments here. It says prayers going up for you, Paul. Thank you very much. Mark says, information overload. One day, hopefully, I will figure out my purpose on LinkedIn. Great shows, guys. Russ says, ouch, good luck. Jamie Sevilla, I hope everything goes well on your surgery, Paul. Much blessing. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you guys supporting the show and tuning in every week, and share it with your friends and grow the audience, and let's all help each other kick some ass in 2021. With that, have a successful week next week. And I'm not sure whether or not I'll be part of the show next week, but the show does go on and we'll have a guest guest host. Thanks again. Have a good night. Oh, almost forgot. Malfunctioning. It's not playing. All right, so we have no trailer at the end of the show today. We're just going to sign off.